All right, we are working on language arts, working on our editing assessment page, which looks like this. So, what is one thing that is incorrect in this sentence, M?
In Granny's, there was no apostrophe.
Right. Why does it need an apostrophe? What does the apostrophe show? Owen.
That it's single.
That it's single. What does the apostrophe S mean? The apostrophe symbolizes what? Or shows what for grannies? It shows what? M. That she owns something. It shows possession or ownership. So if you see this, who does the game belong to?
Grayson.
How do you know that? The apostrophe S shows that it's ownership. The game belongs to Grayson.
Yay, I hope it's a video game.
Oh, I'm sure. What else would it be?
Board game.
All right, so what else is a mistake in the sentence? Machine. What was it? Louder, please. Very good. Very good. 4 is the number 4. F-O-U-R is the number 4. All right, Sam. I. What about I?
It's lowercase.
What does it need to be?
Uppercase.
Why?
Because that's the starting of a sentence.
Perfect. All right, James.
There needs to be a period after cake.
There needs to be a period after cake. Very good. We get it all? Yes, we did. Good job. And then you wrote the sentence correctly. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 2, list the adjectives that are in the sentence. What does an adjective do in a sentence? It has a very specific rule or job. Jeremiah.
Describes the noun.
Describes the noun. Very good. All right, so what are the adjectives in this sentence? What is one boy? Emmy. Birthday. Usually birthday would not be an adjective. Why is it a adjective in this sentence? What is it describing? What is birthday describing? I'm waiting for everyone to track. What is birthday? If you were writing it down as an adjective, what is it describing? Olivia. We'll look at the sentence. Find birthday. What is it describing? I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. What is birthday describing? Yes. She's making a cake, not just any cake, a birthday cake. You could substitute birthday for chocolate cake, coconut cake, peanut butter cake, spider cake. You could substitute that for anything because it is describing the noun. What is another adjective in this sentence? Grayson.
Deer.
Yes. Why is that a adjective? What is it describing?
Grannies.
Yes. Very good. And what is the last but not least adjective, Cole?
Old.
Yes. And what is old describing, Cole?
Granny.
Yes. Dear old granny. All right. Which words in the mentor sentence shows ownership or possession? So ownership we talked about. Now possession. What is that? What word is that? So which is the ownership? Let's do that. That should be quite easy because we just talked about it. Wensheen. Yes. So let me read the sentence. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. What do you think is the word? We figured out ownership. What is the possession? Christian.
Mine.
Yes. Because it's mine. Mine, 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 mine. Okay, good. So a simple subject is a noun. What is the simple subject in the sentence? I, sugar, granny, or cake? Emmy. Jeremiah.
Sugar.
Wensheen. It's going to be a process of elimination. Simple subject. Tessa. Yes. So now, so what does I also look a lot like? And if you look in the next sentences, I see a correlation with the simple subject is very similar to what? I knocked on the brick house. I felt a sneeze coming on. He was a little smarter, but not much. Everybody knows the story of the 3 little pigs. So, what do you see in all those sentences that are similar or the same? M. Yes. So, with that said, what do you think the simple subject in all of the sentences are? Olivia. The pronouns. So the first sentence you're going to circle what? Number 5 is going to be circled. What are you going to circle? Just say it.
I.
Yes. What are you going to circle in number 6?
I.
What are you going to circle in number 7?
He.
What are you going to circle in number 8?
Everyone.
Very good. Now, the simple predicate is the verb. Now, number 8 is weird to say. It is was. It is a different kind of verb, linking verb. So underline was, but the rest of the sentences you should figure out. So you know the simple subject. Underline the simple predicate, which is the verb. Underline what is the verb in I knocked on the brick house. What is the verb in that sentence? I'm going to wait. Sam, you have got to have your mask on. It is not a choice. What is the verb in number 5? I'm waiting for everyone's hands to be up because everyone should see the verb. In number 5, I knocked on the brick house. Gabe, what is the verb in number 5? Knocked. Remember, verb is action, correct? So I is circled, knocked is underlined. Simple subject, simple predicate. What about a number 6? We already determined that I is circled. What is underlined? What is the verb in this sentence? Jeremiah.
Sneeze.
Christian.
Coming.
No. Grayson.
Belt.
Yes. I felt a sneeze coming on. He had quite a few sneezes in there. He should go get a COVID test. So you already determined that 7 is it's a linking verb, so it's a little confusing, and I'm not expecting you to know that. Everybody knows the story of the 3 little pigs. What is the simple predicate in this sentence? Everybody knows the story of the 3 little pigs. Grant. Yes, nose. Very good. All right. What's that noise? Huh?
I think it's Owen.
That sounds like somebody has the hiccups.
It sounded like Owen.
Okay, we don't blame people. We don't know. Whoever is making that noise can stop. It sounds like someone's injured. All right, turn around, please. All right, what we're going to do now is I'm going to read our book, Flora and Ulysses. So you can sit back. So what did Flora smuggle into her house? What did she smuggle, quite easily I might add, into her house? Jeremiah.
Squirrel.
A squirrel.
A squirrel.
And what is the squirrel's name? Do you see the title? Grayson.
Ulysses.
Ulysses. And where did he get his name? What tried to kill him? James. No. What sucked him in and it was quite a traumatic experience. Jeremiah.
A vacuum.
Yes. The Ulysses 2000X.
I can't believe you remembered all that.
So, well, we have to remember details, right? That's why I'm reading. This isn't a picture book. It is a story. So you need to pay attention because I will ask questions. Yes, Cole.
I know when the movie's coming out.
Oh, you've heard. When?
The 21st.
Of this month? Oh, shoot. I don't think I'm going to be done with it on the 21st. You can't watch it until we finish the book. No, I'm kidding. You can watch it. But then it spoils the surprise. But the book and the movie may be different. Yes, Christian.
Can I go get my water bottle from my locker?
After class. All right. So, remember, what is the shepherdess that Flora does not like? Who remembers that detail? And it's kind of creepy looking. I showed you the picture. What is it? A very creepy looking what? Machine. Who remembers? M.
Oh, the lamp.
The lamp. Remember, it's the creepy looking lamp in front of the staircase.
Bo Peep lamp.
Yeah.
What?
It's a little Bo Peep lamp, it looks like. Okay, so what is her mother writing right now? What is she writing? Winsheen. What kind of novels? Flora loves these kind of novels. Helen. Romance, novels, all about kissing. You guys are so easy to tweak. All right. Her mother had sent away to London for the lamp, the shepherdess lamp. When it arrived, she unpacked it and then plugged it in, and then she clapped her hands and said, "Oh, she's so beautiful. Isn't she beautiful? I love her with all my heart." Flora's mother never called Flora beautiful. She never said that she loved her with all her heart. Luckily, Flora was a cynic and didn't care whether her mother loved her or not. What does it mean to be a cynic? What does it mean to be a cynic when she calls herself a cynic? Owen.
You don't really care about a lot of stuff.
Yes. Or at least you pretend you don't care. You question everything. You doubt. You're kind of a doubter and you don't care. Or so you say. All right. So, Flora was, okay, I think that I will call her Mary Ann, her mother had said. Mary Ann, said Flora. You're going to name a lamp? Mary Ann, shepherdess to the lost, said her mother. Who's lost exactly, said Flora. But her mother hadn't bothered to answer that question. This, Flora said to the squirrel, is the little shepherdess. Her name is Mary Ann. Unfortunately, she lives here too. The squirrel considered Mary Ann. Flora narrowed her eyes and stared at the lamp. She knew that it was ridiculous, but sometimes she felt as if Mary Ann knew something that she didn't know, and that the little shepherdess was keeping some dark, terrible secret. That's right.
Scared.
You stupid lamp, said Flora. Mind your own business. Mind your sheep. Actually, there was just one sheep, a tiny lamb curled up at Mary Ann's pink slippered feet. Flora always wanted to say to the little shepherdess, if you're such a great shepherdess, where are the rest of your sheep? Huh? We can just ignore her, said Flora to Ulysses. She turned away from the smug and glowing Mary Ann and climbed the stairs to her room, holding Ulysses gently, carefully in her arms. He didn't glow, but he was surprisingly warm for someone so small. Oh my. Chapter 11, a giant vat of incandesto. Remember, who is incandesto? The great incandesto. Grayson.
It's a superhero.
Superhero.
Series.
Yes. He glows. So let's find out what that means. She put Ulysses down on her bed, and he looked even smaller sitting there in the bright overhead lamp. He also looked pretty bald. Good grief, said Flora. The squirrel certainly didn't look very heroic, but then neither did the nearsighted, unassuming janitor Alfred. T. Slipper. Ulysses looked up at Flora, and then he looked down at his tail. He seemed relieved to see it. He lowered his nose and sniffed along the length of it. I'm hoping that you can understand me, said Flora. The squirrel raised his head. He stared at her. Wow, said Flora. Great, okay, I can't understand you. And that's a small problem. But we'd better figure out a way to communicate, okay? Nod at me if you understand what I'm saying. Like this. Flora nodded, and Ulysses nodded back. Flora's heart leaped up high in her chest. I'm going to try and explain what happened to you, okay? Ulysses nodded his head very fast. And again, Flora's heart leaped up high inside her in a hopeful and extremely uncynical kind of way. She closed her eyes. Don't hope, she told her heart. Do not hope. Instead, observe. Do not hope. Instead, observe was a piece of advice that often in terrible things that can happen to you, according to terrible things, hope sometimes got in the way of action. For instance, if you looked at your elderly Aunt Edith choking on a piece of steak from the all-you-can-eat buffet and you told yourself, Man, I sure hope she's not choking. You would waste several valuable life-saving Heimlich maneuver performing seconds. Do not hope, instead observe, were words that Flora, as a cynic, had found her useful in the extreme. She repeated them to herself a lot. Okay, said Flora. She opened her eyes. She looked at the squirrel. What happened is that you got vacuumed. And because you got vacuumed, you might have powers. Ulysses gave her a questioning look. Do you know what a superhero is? The squirrel continued to stare at her. Right, said Flora. Of course you don't. A superhero is someone with special powers. And he uses those powers to fight the forces of darkness and evil, like Alfred T. Slipper, who is also incandesto. Ulysses blinked several times in a nervous kind of way. I'll come around with the picture. Look, said Flora. She grabbed the illuminated adventures of the amazing incandesto off her desk. She pointed at Alfred in his janitor uniform. See, she said, this is Alfred, and he is unassuming, nearsighted, stuttering janitor who works cleaning the multi-floor offices of Paxaquet Life Insurance Company. He lives a quiet life in his studio apartment with only his parakeet Dolores for company. Ulysses looked down at the picture of Alfred and then up at Flora. Okay, said Flora. So one day, Alfred takes a tour of Incandesto Cleaning Solution Factory, and he slips into a giant vat of incandesto, and it changes him. And so now, when there is a great crisis, when problems is apparent, Alfred turns himself into... Flora flipped through the pages of the comic and stopped at the panel that showed the glowing, powerful incandesto. Incandesto, she said. See, Alfred T. Slipper becomes a righteous pillar of light, so painfully bright that the most heinous villain trembles before him and confesses. Flora realized that she was shouting the tiniest bit. She looked down at Ulysses. His eyes were enormous in his small face. Flora tried a calm, more reasonable voice. She lowered her voice. As incandesto, she said, Alfred sheds light. I'm going to go up around with the picture. So she's showing little Ulysses the character of incandesto. The little squirrel. He's just kind of like, okay.
That'd be cute, just seeing a squirrel sitting there.
Wouldn't it be funny to have a pet squirrel if he was a nice squirrel?
I want a chipmunk. Chipmunks are cute. I just love the stuff on the inside.
Chipmunks are humongous. Look at this. This is me eating soup with chopsticks.
You did hold them in your hand or you did not?
I just held them in my hand.
Listen, who are we?
Oh, good for you.
Who's on a beach? Got stuck in the sand.
Ew. Poor little guy. Way to go, Bryson. Save the chipmunk. I love it. All right, let's get back to our little Ulysses. What is going to happen? Who thinks he's a superhero? I can't wait to find out. He can fly. Also, he visits the elderly, and that's what a superhero is. And I think you might be one too. At least I think you have powers. So far, all we know about you is that you're really strong. Ulysses nodded. He puffed out his chest. Flora, her mother shouted, get down here. Dinner is ready. But what else can you do? Said Flora to the squirrel. And if you truly are a superhero, how will you fight evil? Ulysses furrowed his brow. Flora bent down. She put her face close to his. Think about it, she said. Imagine what we might be able to do. Flora Bell, her mother shouted. I can hear you up there talking to yourself. You shouldn't talk to yourself. People will hear you and think you're strange. I'm not talking to myself, Flora shouted. Well then, with whom are you speaking? A squirrel. There was a long silence from down below. And then her mother shouted, "That's not funny, Florabelle. Get down here right now." Well, you don't often talk to somebody, like talk to a squirrel. All right, so with that said, we're going to end where it's chapter 12, the forces of evil.
Boy, dun dun dun.